All right, welcome in everybody. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network. Today we have the lovely Lori Phillips with us. Hello,
Yep.
Lori. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you? It's good to see
I'm,
your smiling face.
oh, thank you. Likewise. Likewise. Yeah, it's nice that we finally got to have this conversation. We've been talking a little bit off camera.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I know you have some good things to share with us. So first of all, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us where you are in the world?
Okay, thank you. I'm Lori again, and I'm from Oklahoma. So, right smack dab, kind of in the middle of the states. And my city is Oklahoma City, which is also in the middle of Oklahoma. And I've lived here my whole life. I went off to college to Nebraska and then came back to Oklahoma. So that's where I am.
Definitely consider it home, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it is fun to be in the place you were raised because you know so many people and you run into so many people. And I'm a people person, so
Nice
that
feeling.
helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. So, we talked a little bit before, and I know that you have trauma informed yoga in your background. So, for people that don't really know what trauma informed means, everybody, well, most people I'd say know what yoga is, but really don't know what trauma informed is. Could you explain that a little?
Absolutely. So, trauma is something that happens to most of us as we're growing up. We have experiences as children that mark us. And we don't necessarily know that it marked us until later in life when we kind of have behaviors that are not healthy or arguments or certain, we're polarized in one way or the other. So trauma happens to everyone, and if it's not dealt with, then you're not healed. So I went through kind of a journey of understanding that I had trauma because I'm a positive person. I just kind of take struggles and turn them around and find the silver lining. So I thought, well, that's enough. But what I didn't do is go deep and find the healing places in my heart that needed healing. And so my experience two summers ago was that I had worked my whole life, very high achiever. So I worked and worked and worked to achieve goals through gymnastics when I was younger, and marriage and family and a professional career when I was older. And so everything came to a head, and I just crashed because I didn't take time to actually heal. I thought I was, but I didn't. And so in that journey, in that season, I learned well, anxiety was out the roof, like super high, like painful anxiety. So 20 to 30 minutes of attacks in the fetal position, which I'd never experienced before. So I had to take about a year off of work. And thankfully, I was able to do that. And in that season, I used yoga to calm my nerves because it's just normal, like just basically yoga does that anyway, just the movement and the breathing and the meditation at the end, all the things that your body needs, basically, physically speaking, the mind and the body connection is accomplished through yoga. And there are even some therapists, I can't think of the guy's name right now, but he won't even take on a client without having them enroll in yoga. So that's the trauma plus yoga. Anyway, so I went through trauma. I sought out help with a lot of areas besides yoga, but yoga was a real something practical I could do at any time for myself, by myself, and still experience the peace that I needed in my life. So I got trained in trauma informed yoga, which is basically helping people to understand the mind body connections. Because what happens when we go through trauma and when we're in a state of fight or flight, which is the anxiety, we're either fighting for our lives or we're running away from our issues. And there's also freeze, which basically means we're frozen, we don't do anything, and we also fawn. It's another one where we kind of alter our own likes and desires to copy someone else so that we don't have to deal with conflict. So there's a lot of things in that, and I just unpacked a whole bunch in that. But so in my training, I learned what trauma was, where it comes from, how yoga can help, and then also just being sensitive to people in the traumatic state or trying to heal from that, and kind of teaching them to feel their body. Because when we go through trauma and we're in that fight or flight state, a lot of people disconnect from their bodies. So that would be someone who's just, they can't feel emotions. They just kind of go through the motions in life. They don't have empathy. They don't, the best part of life is feeling emotions. To me, like I love to feel, and that's why I was stuck in fight. So that's why the anxiety was so painful, because I was feeling everything, all of the stress, I was feeling it in my body. So just learn. I love to work on women. I love to work with women one-on-one, and just kind of tell their story, because everyone likes to tell their story. So hear their story, hear where they are in life, hear how they feel, giving them the chance to actually say it out loud actually has a healing property to it. And then, excuse me, and then figuring out what it is that they need, how they need to be physical in their bodies. Like it may be just the breathing, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to be doing yoga poses. So yoga's a lot of things other than just like getting in yoga pants and doing poses. So, it can be accomplished through breath. It can be accomplished through sitting in a chair. It can be accomplished through laying on the floor. It can be accomplished through standing. You can do a whole 30-minute or an hour standing yoga. You don't have to get down on the floor. So I love to just kind of talk and find out what it is that they, number one, what they can do physically, because part of the trauma is being anxious about, am I gonna be able to do what I'm supposed to be doing? Just the pressure of so so finding out what they can do physically in their body, finding out what kind of work would really help them the most. I'm not a therapist. I do listen, but I'm not a licensed therapist, so I can't really say, I'm a trauma. There is trauma therapy, which I want to do next, or yoga trauma therapy. And so yeah, that's kind of my story. That's kind of what I love to do, and I really enjoy it, and it helped me. So I figure if it helped me, it can help other people. And I'm all about sharing what I learned with other people, because that's kind of why we're here, is to connect with other people and find that connection, that friendship, that help, that everyone needs someone. So I like to be that someone.
Well, you sound like you're a good someone to have on their side. You mentioned about being a gymnast, and I know we spoke a little bit about that before. That must have been very difficult for you, being so connected to your body, being so in your body all the time, being a gymnast, and then to have your body feel like it's not keeping up with you, and it's not, doing the things that you would like it to do. Can you speak to that a little?
Yes. So gymnasts, as most people who are involved in sports competitively, are pretty hard on ourselves, and we push ourselves. And we are, in my experience, and I hope that it's changed in some ways, but in my experience, coaches push you, and sometimes in a way that's not helpful. They call names. In fact, I was actually put in a fat group because I was like 2 pounds overweight of what my weight was supposed to be, so there's just a lot of pressure. So I was achieve. And then there's a lot to do with that when you're trying to be perfect. And yes, so it's wonderful to be able to feel what you're doing and have awareness of your body. That's wonderful. But an over awareness and an overachieving attitude can really get you in trouble sometimes. So Yeah, I loved it. I would not have done it if I did not love it. I was flipping around the house over couches and putting pillows on the floor. So my parents were like, how about gymnastics? So yeah, I loved it. It served me well in that season. It paid for my college. Like it was a blessing. And it really like taught me a lot about discipline. It also, I had a built-in family with the teammates that, you spend 6 hours, 8 hours sometimes a day, 6 days a week. Not 8 hours, I'm sorry, 6 days a week, sometimes 8 hours. If you're doing two trainings, which is uncommon. That's not. It's more like 4 hours, six. Anyway, it's a lot. But anyway, so it was amazing. I loved it, and I stayed in it, and I there is something to do with when something ends that has been a part of your life for so long. It's hard on you to move away from that and become a totally different person. I think I transitioned straight into marriage and building a family like out of college. So I kind of replaced that with something else. And so if I could go back, I guess I would maybe take a little bit of time just to be with me and kind of discover who I am without gymnastics before, going into another very demanding life. you know. So yeah, I hope
Totally.
that answers your question.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, that's yeah. Yeah, I can just imagine that's like there's almost like a grief period that you need to have that was missed.
Mhm. Yes, there is. In fact, I think there's a statistic. It's a very high statistic of Olympic champion athletes going into deep depression after the Olympics because they've met their goal for life, and then there's a period of time where they just don't know what to do next. Not everyone. It's a very small percentage of Olympians actually get endorsement deals or become like a commentator on TV, or they don't stay in that world and stay at that level. They have to figure out what to do next, and sometimes that's just not very easy if that's been your life, your whole life.
Yeah, for
So yeah.
sure. Yeah, and so you were a gymnast and then you went right into a marriage and then you were also working. You said you had a corporate career.
Mhm. Yeah, so I guess how I put it is I I learned to push myself, and I had people pushing me. So then I pushed through, and I pushed myself into being married and having children wasn't enough. I had to excel in something else. So I pushed myself in life, and I still am pretty guilty of that, but I've learned now, obviously, since I basically kind of took a year to heal, that I need time for me, and so I've been a lot more patient with myself. And so yeah, it's difficult to learn that lesson. So yeah, yeah.
I 100% believe in taking the year for ourselves. I too did that, and yeah, it's empowering. Like
Yeah.
you learn a lot about yourself in that amount of
Mhm.
time. So
Yeah.
what are you doing with yourself these days then?
These days, I became a yoga instructor, so I'm teaching yoga. I have, it's not full time. It's not full time, but if it was, I would probably own a studio and do a lot more teaching. But I love it. I love doing it 3 times a week. I do yoga more than that, but I teach 3 times a week. So I have classes that I teach. I do one-on-ones. I'm going this weekend to a healing retreat, and I will be the person to have a session, an hour-long session with each woman in the retreat. Yeah, to work on healing, and then I also work remote. In my last professional job, I was an executive assistant, So I work remote. I am a virtual assistant, and I do a lot of things on the computer to help my. He doesn't like for me to call him my boss, so my coworker, I guess. It's more he's a great man, and his company and his organization is a great organization. So I love to support big causes. So that really feeds my heart to know I'm doing something for someone who is trying to make a difference in the world. So that's pretty much what I do. And I'm a mom of three kids, and they're all 18 and up. So I spend time with my kids, and I love being a mom. So
That's awesome. See, women can do it, right? We got it. Sometimes you got to go through some stuff, but yeah,
Mhm.
eventually you kind of get out there a little bit ahead of the curve and, you know,
Yeah,
let the wave push you instead of swimming against it, right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I appreciate getting to meet you because you are uh someone I met online, and I also have a business in athleisure wear. So I'm actually wearing it right now. It's called Savvi, and that's kind of a way for me to earn an extra stream of income so that I'm diversified. I have a rent house, I own a house. So like I like to, I just learned over the years that, if you can, if you're able to, kind of spread yourself out a little bit with your job and your career, that it if the economy crashes in one area, maybe you can go to the next, and so yes, so I really enjoy just finding new ways to kind of a bit of an adventure. So I like to find new ways to not only help myself and my family, but help others. So yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like a
yeah,
really good balance that you have between the things now, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to keep myself in check. But actually, yeah, I think women, we tend to try to do it all. We're expected to do it all. We are expected in society to have a job, and if we don't have a job, then we're a stay-at-home mom, which actually, by the way, is probably, like, I think by now it's an 80,000 to $100,000 salary, as far as what the work you're doing and the value you're adding to your family with everything that you do for the kids and your husband and the school and all the things. So as women, we tend to need to do too much, and so yeah, it's something you have to really pay attention to, and not put too much pressure on yourself, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Right? Like finding a good balance and having good areas, in health, in family, in finance, like all those things, they all are part of wellness, right? We need to have those little
Yes,
pillars connected.
yes, yes. So I feel like where I was in life was I had most everything covered except for myself. Right. So self-care is something I lacked in. I had like no self-care. Taking care of others. That's what we are. We're nurturers. So it gives us a sense of joy and purpose to be taking care of others. And I still get a lot out of that. I still want to have that in my life. But taking time for myself, and women, we need to take care of ourselves so that we can give. We have to receive before we can give. So yeah, that's very, very important. And I love what you're doing. You're helping women help themselves.
Yes. Yes, and help each
Yeah,
other. Like this is
yeah,
a good, right? It's a nice sharing opportunity, I think. So do
yeah.
you do your stuff online also or just in
I
person?
do. I do. I do. I have a YouTube channel. I have a website. It's Breathe Life Yoga. .com, and I wanted to incorporate breath into it because it is so important. When we hold our breath, we're not giving our body a chance circulate and oxygen doesn't reach everywhere. And so also just like I believe in God. And so I believe that he breathed his breath into us when he created us. And he's always with us. And so when we breathe, I like to say we breathe in his spirit and love, and we exhale our worries and fears. And so breathelifeyoga.com is where I am online. And you can find my YouTube channel there and there's chair yoga for seniors, there's worship yoga, there's just different flows. And I like to focus on foundations. So you won't find me doing a whole lot of difficult stuff when I'm teaching, because I feel like yoga should be accessible to everyone. Yeah. So that's where you can find me online. And of course I'm on Facebook, Lori Phillips, and I have a yoga page as well, Breathe Life Yoga. So
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we'll put all that stuff in the comments so that people can know where to find you, because
thank you.
connecting and yeah, seeing what you are a little bit more, like looking up your YouTube videos, right? Like I
Yeah.
like that they
Yeah.
are they're not just for, people that have been doing it for a long time, people that can just go there today and pick it up and, oh, look, I can do this too. And that's
Yes.
that
Yes.
is appreciated. I really love people that
Yes.
are helping others just get started, just lift them up that little bit, and
Yeah.
that seems
Yeah.
like what you're doing in all areas of your life. And
I hope so.
you mentioned Savvi. Can you tell me just give us a little snippet of what Savvi?
Sure. So Savvy is also a company that's women. Like there are men's products, but most of the products are geared towards women. We have athleisure wear. We have things that you can consume like collagen and greens and healthy, very, very clean energy. There's like a chocolate cacao and a matcha that you can drink for focus and for mood and that kind of thing. And then our third area is skin. We do have a skincare line, and it's all about just I love the rose mask. It's like you put it on and you scrub it on and then you just let it sit, and then you wash it off. Like I love the smell, number one, because I just think roses are red, violets are blue.
Yes.
It's just a scent of a rose just brings some there's some value to that. And when you wash it off, it's just so your skin is just so soft. And so, but yeah, so Savvy is geared towards looking good, feeling good, and doing good. So we also serve the community with projects. When we get together, we always have a community serving project. And so last time I went to an event, we provided like some savvy and some like basic needs for women, and there was a local place in San Diego where we were receiving our training that reached out to women, so they got a little goodie bag. And so that's savvy. And I like to share it because I was teaching yoga, so I needed some new clothes, and I thought, why not do something that will not only bless me but bless others, and it helps my family when people support my business. And if you think about when you're out and about on town, and women, we love to talk to each other. We love to, it's just part of who we are, most of us. And so you're in the checkout line, and the lady behind you is like, "Oh my gosh, I love your jacket." Oh my gosh. And so you're like, "Oh my God, it's Target." You're like, it's here, it's this much, it's at Target, they still have them, so that's kind of what happens to me when I'm wearing my athleisure wear, because we have joggers and other things too. And so I just like, oh, well, it's my brand, let me send you my link, so it's just a fun way to do that. And then if there are women who need another stream of income and are interested in looking good and feeling good and doing good, then I help them start their own business. So it's a lot of fun. And it's a community too. So it's kind of like what you're doing here. We have weekly meetings, and we have Zoom calls, and we have other people to help and encourage us. And it's just a positive thing, positive environment. So
That's awesome. It's really
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, it's good. Yes. it's nice to hear there are companies out there like that,
Mhm.
right, that are striving to do
Yeah.
better. And obviously, the rose mask works well because your face looks lovely. Your skin
Oh, thank
looks
you.
really nice. And what you're wearing is totally cute, also. So, yeah,
Thank you.
might have to put a little link in for Savvi so people can check that out too, because
Yeah.
that's
Thank you.
great. It's another as you say, it's supporting financially, it's supporting wellness, it's doing good in the community. So yeah, who
Mhm.
doesn't want to
Mhm.
support that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you would like to share with us?
Oh goodness, let me see. I feel like I just spilled my guts. I did want to leave some practical tips for breathing, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Um, so there are some techniques that are very helpful to breathe. So if you find yourself, your heart is palpitating, you're nervous, maybe you have something coming up that you're anticipating, and you just have this nervous energy, and you just need to get rid of it. You can do that by breathing, and it's called box breathing. So it's, I don't know if you heard of it, but you inhale for 4 counts, and then you hold it for 4 counts, and then you exhale for 4 counts, and then you hold it for 4 counts, and you just repeat that over and over until your body is kind of recalculating and recalibrating, and it helps with stress, and it also helps with focus. So that's just kind of like a practical tip. You can also, if you're having a high anxiety, some things that you can do are you can like shake your body like animals in the wild. I know you can't really do that in public, but
Who says?
I guess you could. But animals in the wild, when they're being chased by a predator and they make it, and they are free and safe, they convulse a lot of, like the gazelle, for instance. The lion chases the gazelle, and the gazelle gets away, and the gazelle is safe, and the gazelle basically collapses, convulses, springs back up, and then runs on. So you can kind of shake your body. Just like it's just it's funny, but it's actually very effective because it's nervous energy you're just getting out. And then what else? Grounding, going barefoot,
Yeah.
just going outside. Yes. I tried this for the first time when I was in that season of stress and anxiety, and it's amazing. It really is amazing if you just walk outside with your bare feet and get into the earth and put your feet on the earth. I mean, I was sitting in a chair with my feet on the grass, and I could feel the energy come up through my feet and come up all the way through my torso. And it kind of like left my head. And the birds were chirping, and the sunshine, and the soft, gentle breeze of it was springtime this time last year. And anyway, that's really helpful. So there's a lot of science behind grounding. If you ever want to look that up, there's a lot of science about how our bodies were created to be in nature, and we started building concrete, cities, and housing ourselves with air conditioning and carpet. And, we're taking our bodies away from our natural habitat, basically. And so spending, even if it's 5 minutes a day, or if you can't do it every day, then, just one day a week, maybe go on a walk barefoot. You can also walk in your home barefoot, which sounds funny, but I mean, it's just the feeling of the bottom of your feet, we're putting rubber on our soles, on the bottom of our feet, which is shielding us from everything. We're like, so yeah. Sorry, I could talk for
No,
hours.
no, that's it's good. It's good because it's practical stuff, right? Like this is what most of us need, right? We just want to be at home. We just want to do, oh, I feel this way. I need to do something. What can I do? Right. And as you say, walking on the floor with your bare feet, it's making your feet feel something, the
Right,
cold or the
right. The
hardness.
sensory.
Or, yeah. So it's doing something. I always feel like when I go outside, my legs are like two prongs, like electrical outlet, and I'm plugging into the earth. That's
Yeah,
what I feel like. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. There's actually, I can't remember I didn't come prepared with notes, but there's actually some studies that really great scientist discovered, and he actually did a legit study on grounding in the electrical current that comes from the earth. And he invented like a mat that you could lay on while you sleep. And it like, say, I don't know much about electricity, but I know there's a grounding wire, right? So it had a grounding wire that went outside into the earth,
Oh,
and you laid on. This is his study. You laid on the I'll get that to you, and you can put it in the link in the yeah, comments. But you laid on the mat, and over time, people with chronic pain saw like a huge difference, like night and day. Like I wouldn't say it was like completely healed, but like they reported somewhere in the 90 percentage of like improvement. And I think he actually made some flip flops with, and they actually sell shoes like this now. You can find them. They have like a little metal grounding thing in the sole of your shoe. And I can't remember that company either, but sorry.
that's okay. It
So
gives us
yeah,
stuff to Google.
yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's a lot of awesome, wonderful, useful information. Thank you so much, Lori. So,
Good.
okay,
You're
we're going to put
welcome.
your websites and your information in the comments so people will be able to find you. And yeah, we might have to have you back sometime because there's lots of ground to cover, like literally. So,
Yeah, I love that.
okay, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, if any of you watching want to connect with Lori, we'll put the information in the comments. And yeah, thank you for watching. And thank you so much, Lori, for coming today. And we
You're
hope to have
so
you again.
welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been a true pleasure.
Oh, awesome. All right, everybody. Until next time, be well.
So good.
Just need one more.